So we saw a couple of things last week, but nothing that I felt particularly compelled to make a video about. So this week I'm doing something slightly different, and I'm looking at the work of Arthur Miller and how he uses the past and the present in his work. I might make some more videos like this on weeks where I don't necessarily go out to see stuff, so if you do enjoy it, then please do let me know down below or subscribe. But here we go.
She thinks he's coming back, Chris. You marry that girl, you're pronouncing him dead. Now what's gonna happen to Mother? Do you know? I don't.
All right then, Dad.
Just give it some more thought.
I've given it 3 years of thought. I hope that if I waited, Mother would forget Larry.
Arthur Miller famously stated that the structure of a play is always the story of how the birds came home to roost. I'd like to borrow for a moment Simon Stevens' suggestion that every writer has their own myth that emerges and re-emerges throughout their work. And I'd like to suggest that it is this inquiry into the past invading the present that is the myth of Arthur Miller's work. We can see as much in Death of a Salesman, in which Schroeder suggests that, unknown to Willie, somewhere in his soul searching, he has lost track of the boundary between past and present. As Willie debates his actions in the present, his brother Ben constantly emerges and re-emerges from the ether, reminding Willie of the divergent path he might have taken in his youth, the ambitions he could have pursued.
Tell my boys.
My boys, when I was 17, I walked into the jungle. When I was 21, I walked out. And by God, I was rich.
You see what I've been talking about? Oh, the greatest things can happen.
In this, we find the theatricalization of a character turning to their past to inform their present. We might point to Ibsen, whose work was a huge influence on Miller, as to the inspiration for this myth. As David Edgar suggests, while the plot of many Ibsen plays covers no more than a couple of days, the story starts years before. The challenge then comes in the synthesis of the two, drama being composed of action, action being something which takes place in the present. It is this that I think, at least, at which Miller is a master. The play in which I think he particularly showcases this ability to bring together past and present is All My Sons. All My Sons generally is one of my favourite plays, as much for the story which lies behind it as the play itself. This was Arthur Miller's last-ditch attempt to write a really commercially successful Broadway play after the failure of The Man Who Had All the Luck. And if history had taken a slightly different path, he was prepared to give up the writing trade altogether. The story for All My Sons, then, starts in a very Ibsenite tradition, roughly a decade prior to the opening curtain. There are two past events which run throughout the core of this play. Larry Keller, one of the Keller family's two sons, has been missing since World War II. It's now the 1950s. Also pertinent is the fact that Joe Keller, the father of the family, was involved in a scandal surrounding failing engine parts at the factory which he owned. It's the former that I'd like to focus on primarily here, however. The idea of the past uncovered can be found in the very first image we are presented with in All My Sons, that of a tree, which, having been hit by a bolt of lightning the night before, now lies snapped in two. As we learn later, this is Larry's tree, planted when he first went missing. And its height represents the very growth of tension which has existed in this household as he's been missing. Every inch is a conflict unresolved. Prior to Kate Keller, Larry's mother and Joe's wife, discovering the tree, the importance of its symbolism is constantly reaffirmed by the neighbours of the Kellers.
Hey, what happened to your tree?
Yeah, ain't that awful? The wind must have got it last night.
No, it's funny.
What?
Well, Larry was born in August. It'd have been 27 this month, and his tree blows down.
Oh, did the wind get your tree?
Yeah, last night.
Oh, what a pity.
You see what happened to the tree?
Yeah.
What's Mother gonna say?
And it is Kate herself, for whom the tree really matters most, who underlines the importance of its breakage.
That's so funny.
Everything decides to happen at the same time. This month is his birthday. His tree blows down. Annie comes. Everything that happened seems to be coming back.
If all the breaking of the tree was to do, however, was to reignite some reflection on whether to accept the fact that Larry might have passed away, then there would be little exciting about the play at all. The way on which the story of the play takes place, then, presses play on a number of disputes which have lain paused in the time that Larry has been missing. What truly reignites debate as to whether to accept Larry's loss is the arrival of Chris Keller, Larry's brother, and Anne, Larry's former partner, who is now in love with Chris. This love triangle places the past and present completely at odds with one another. For, faced with Chris and Anne's desire to be married, Kate Keller now has to make a bold decision between the past and the present. She can continue to wallow in her unrectified grief for her missing son, thereby disallowing the one who stands there with her his happiness. Or she can choose to grant Chris, the living son, his wish to be married to Anne, which in many ways would be akin to burying Larry. It is the fact that here, Miller not only references the past, but makes it an active participant in the present action of the play, which truly expresses how good at this he is. Even when compared to Death of a Salesman, Willie's brother Ben only ever appears as a reference to the past, a remembrance of what could have been. In All My Sons, the past is active, always guiding the present. All My Sons asks incredibly prescient political questions about financial profit and human loss in an act of war. But at the same time, it asks much more human questions of determinacy. To what extent can we let our past inform our future? To what extent can we escape it? And to what extent should we always be prepared to answer for its crimes?
She thinks he's coming back, Chris. You marry that girl, you're pronouncing him dead.
Thanks for watching. My name's Tom. If you have enjoyed that and want to see more videos about playwriting and theatre in general, then please do subscribe. Let me know what you thought down below. And cheers, have a good week.